The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by Dubby. What is Dubby? Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like those other energy drinks have. They also have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. Dubby's products are made in the USA in an FDA-inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. All of the flavors are unique and custom-made by Dubby, and you'll never taste our taste anywhere else. The best part about it is they're affordable. Dubby's drinks come out to about $1 per drink, much cheaper than Starbucks or any of those canned energy drinks. To learn more, visit w.gg.com/discount/MRTipton33 and place your order today. Use promo code MrTipton33 and save today. Dubby Energy, be better. What's going on, everybody? I want to tell you about my new friends over at Cleverman. Visit them online at becleverman.com. What they gave me was the energizing face and beard scrub along with the Cleverman face scrubber. And trust me when I say this, the energizing face and beard scrub smells amazing. Combining it with the face scrubber, making sure that your boy was looking as good and sexy as possible, opened up a whole different sensation in my face that I haven't ever felt before. I felt so clean, so fresh, and so clean, like Outcast said, and it helped me feel like I was ready for my day. Make sure you visit them online at becleverman.com and follow them on Instagram at clevermannyc. The link is up in my bio if you want to check out all the amazing products they have. Visit them online, becleverman.com. It is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, hanging out with you here on a Monday morning. Not a whole lot going on in the world of sports, but we're going to try to power our way through. We are live on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. Shout out to Dell Ravenson, who tuned in over on Instagram. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show. Where to get started? We can get started with Happy Gilmore. We can get started with the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, and that's exactly where we are going to get started at here. Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, Billy Wagner, our guy Tommy Canazzo tuning in saying good morning, Tip. Good morning to you, Tommy. Hope that you're having a fantastic day so far. Those guys getting into the Hall of Fame along with Dave Parker, and I got to try to remember the last name. Thinking of Dick Allen. Was the other name of the guy that was put into the MLB Hall of Fame. I loved Ichiro Suzuki. Just like I love CC Sabathia. CC Sabathia, a Yankee, winning a championship as a Yankee. Obviously spent the majority of his career in the Bronx. Started off with Cleveland, went to Milwaukee, then to New York, wins a championship with them back in 2009. Billy Wagner, short little hard-throwing left-handed closer. Absolutely loved him. I love baseball. I love the Hall of Fame stuff. Like, I'm a big nerd when it comes to those things. And there's a part of me that, I need Major League Baseball to get their Hall of Fame right. Like, you cannot have a Hall of Fame without Pete Rose, without Shoeless Joe Jackson, without Roger Clemens, without Barry Bonds. You're not telling the full story of baseball. I don't care about the asterisks. I don't think very many people care about the steroids allegations or anything like that. I don't think anybody, as a Crooked Commish tunes in saying, Money Mike, what's good? What's good, Crooked Commish? Thank you for tuning in on Saturday to an impromptu Bob, Jim, and Pat get drunk on the internet. We were watching we were trying to watch a Goldberg match and a Hulk Hogan match to honor Hulk Hogan and Goldberg, but we got kind of sidetracked just watching all of Halloween Havoc 1998. But once again, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that tuned in over on Instagram as well. Major League Baseball's got to get it right. Major League Baseball's got to get it together. Like we cannot sit here and continue to be like, oh, we're doing everything right by Major League Baseball whenever you don't have those guys that I mentioned before, the Barry Bonds, the Mark McGuires, the Rafael Palmeiros. Whenever you don't have guys like that, along with Shoeless Joe Jackson, along with Pete Rose, especially now, those last two, given the climate of what we see Major League Baseball being now, where you can bet on games, you can gamble, you can do this and that, you can do all those things. Even though it was awesome seeing Ichiro, CC Sabathia, Billy Wagner get inducted into the Hall of Fame, it feels incomplete. It feels like Major League Baseball has just constantly messed this up. We'll allow David Ortiz into the Hall of Fame, but we're not going to allow Alex Rodriguez into the Hall of Fame. We'll allow David Ortiz or Mike Piazza into the Hall of Fame, despite them being on the Mitchell Report, but we won't allow Barry Bonds into the Hall of Fame. There's such inconsistency here. Shout out to Amber Bonda 915 who tuned in over on Instagram as well. Thank you so much for supporting the show. She was a part of the El Paso Chihuahuas Harry Potter night. I think it's Quidditch was the name of the game. I've seen the Harry Potter movies. I just don't retain a whole bunch. It was more for my kids more than it was for me. But once again, shout out, congratulations to the Hall of Famers. Major League Baseball just they got to get it right. I'm so tired of Major League Baseball and how they consistently like the Cricket Commission says here, the only consistent thing about them is inconsistency. We got to get this stuff figured out. Like you cannot tell the whole story of baseball without those guys. I don't think they need an asterisk. I think the stories tell themselves. People are going to know who those people are. If you go to the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame now and you don't know who a player is, you can Google them up. We can have Ty Cobb be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He lynched a dude. But it's okay to have the guy that lynched somebody in the Hall of Fame, but we can't have steroid users in the Hall of Fame. We can't have Shoeless Joe Jackson or Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, despite the fact that we have gambling legalized in baseball now, in most states, not Texas, but in most states. I was watching a lot of baseball this weekend because that's basically all there is. I know there's training camps. Tommy, you're going to come at me and be like, yes, football training camps. I need action. I think Thursday we get our first football game. I want to say it's the Hall of Fame game. A lot of Hall of Fame stuff going on right now. I was watching the Angels take on the Seattle Mariners yesterday. Mike Trout gets his 1,000th career RBI, and I was thinking to myself, that feels light, right? Like Mike Trout, I feel like he's been in the NBA. Training camp is upon us, Mike. Just don't talk soccer. LOL. I haven't watched any soccer. I think the U.S. national team plays in a couple of weeks, so we got that little bit of a respite. Even on Friday, I was worried that Augustine was going to want to talk soccer. We didn't really talk a whole lot of soccer, so I hope you're happy with that. But it felt like Mike Trout only having, and I say this as someone who's like, wow, I can't believe he only has 1,000 RBIs. 1,700 hits. And I feel like he's been in Major League Baseball forever. 2012 or 2011 until now. And I get it. There's a lot of injury seasons there. There's a lot of things like that Mike Trout has going for him. But only 1,000 RBIs, only 1,700 career hits in a 15-year career. Didn't Mike Trout not live up to the expectations? Like, how many career home runs does he have? He's got 396 career home runs. Maybe he plays 5 more years, he gets 400 or 500 home runs. But it feels like Mike Trout just hasn't really lived up to expectations. Tony Canazzo reminded me that Jake Ferguson was signed to a 4-year, $52 million deal with $30 million guaranteed. I saw that yesterday. And I had to think about that for the Dallas Cowboys, saying whenever I saw like the Dallas Cowboys signed, I wanted it to be Micah Parsons. But I have to remind myself, it's the dog and pony show known as the Dallas Cowboys. As the Ian Mitchell Norton tuned in over on Instagram, thank you so much for being a part of the show. It's the dog and pony show that the Dallas Cowboys are putting on. Micah Parsons will get his deal at the 0 hour for the Dallas Cowboys, minutes before the first game of the season, where the Dallas Cowboys are taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, or whatever the kickoff game is going to be. I can't even remember what the kickoff game is this year. Is it Dallas and Philadelphia? Is that the first game of the year, the Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia? Tommy Cananza going on to say he does this every time in a contract battle with someone who will be resetting the market. It's Jerry Jones doing what Jerry does. Yeah, it's at Philadelphia. Wow, that is wild to me that that's the first game of the season. But it makes sense. The Eagles are going to be getting their rings. They're going to be doing all that stuff. Shout out to Accessory Hoarder _373 who tuned in over on Instagram as well. I don't know. Like, I know it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a big game. I hate seeing division games as the first game of the season. Like, you could have had a rematch between Philly and Kansas City. And I think that would have been just as good. But instead, now you've got the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles being the first game of the season. We'll see. It should be fun. It'll be a fun game. I gotta get myself right on this. But Tommy's right. Every year Jerry Jones does this. It's the dog and pony show. He signed Jalen Smith and Lael Collins when he was in contract talks with Zeke a few years back. That is correct. And then he signed Zeke to a huge deal. It's the Jerry Jones thing, right? Like, oh, look, we're going to get more people talking. He got me, right? Like, he got me with it. We're going to get more people talking about it if I sign Jake Ferguson and not Micah Parsons. He got me. Damn you, Jerry, you got me. I fell for it. I fell right into the trap. He set the trap. I fell for it. I was fooled by Jerry Jones. I was fooled by an 82-year-old man. I got yelled at the other day by Brandon the Iceman Cohn for thinking the Dallas Cowboys could win the division. I still feel that way. I went out on a limb, and I said that the Dallas Cowboys will win that division. Period, point blank. I'm putting the Cowboys as the best team in the NFC East. No more of this wishy-washy Mike Tipton. I think they win 11 to 12 games. They win the division. I'm probably going to regret saying that, but it is such a wide-open division. Brandon the Iceman Cohn has the Washington Commanders winning the division. I've got the Bears finishing second or third in their division. Yeah. But we're going with the Dallas Cowboys. At least I'm going with. I know Tommy's going with the Dallas Cowboys to win the division as well. I've been on the fence. I've been thinking Philadelphia still a really good team, but they did lose a lot defensively. Tommy Cannon's saying Brandon is smoking crack. Maybe that's what the weight loss journey has been. Just smoke as much crack as possible, and you'll be good. I feel like that might be what the weight loss journey is. We're just smoking crack left and right. It might help him. Might help me. Shit, I might start going that route. Okay. Well, the Dallas Cowboys signed Jake Ferguson. Like I like Jake Ferguson. I think there's a handful, maybe a handful of tight ends in the NFL that might be as good as Jake Ferguson is or better, right? Like Jonnu Smith, I would still put Travis Kelce slightly ahead of him. George Kittle, I would put ahead of him. And then outside of that, like I don't know who else you would put ahead of Jake Ferguson. So I like it for the Dallas Cowboys. Old boy with the Raiders, you would put him ahead of him. Why can I not think of his name right now? Brock Bowers. You would put Brock Bowers ahead of Jake Ferguson. But there's not a whole lot, at least not in my mind. Like, there's not a whole lot. Would you put Dalton Schultz? Would you put anybody like that ahead of Jake Ferguson? So I get the Dallas Cowboys signing him whenever Jake Ferguson is healthy, whenever CeeDee Lamb is healthy, whenever Dak Prescott is healthy. The Dallas Cowboys are a formidable team. Now you've got another wide receiver in George Pickens there. You're going to have a running back by committee in Dallas, which is going to be okay to watch, I guess. It'll more than likely be Miles Sanders or Williams, who's going to come in and be the number one back. Tommy Canon's saying Jake Ferguson might be top 5, but definitely in the top 10. Yeah, and that's why I'm saying like you can make an argument, I feel like, for Jake Ferguson being top 5. He is definitely 100% he's in the top 10. So I get the reason why the Dallas Cowboys would sign him to a long-term deal. At least keeping it for the next couple of seasons, keeping it all together with the Dallas Cowboys. So I totally get that. Again, I started this conversation by talking about the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim as they were taking on the Seattle Mariners. Was or has the career so far of Mike Trout been kind of disappointing? And I feel like it has been. 15 seasons, and again, like there's a lot of injuries in there. So 15 seasons of injury-filled baseball, 1,700 career hits, less than 400 home runs, and just now got 1,000 RBIs. It feels like he should be closer to like 1,500 RBIs, closer to 2,000 RBIs than where he is right now in his career. And on the flip side of that, I had Kenley Jansen. I didn't even think about this. Kenley Jansen made an appearance for the Los Angeles Angels. He comes in, he gets a save for them. His 17th save of the season. And they put on this list that Kenley Jansen is now the number 4 all-time, 4th all-time in career saves. I'll say it's 464 is where he's at right now. He's got a way to reach Mariano Rivera, probably not going to reach Trevor Hoffman. He's in his 16th season in Major League Baseball. He's 37 years old, so he's more than likely not going to stay that long. But I was surprised that Kenley Jansen's name was on there. So it's Mariano Rivera, Trevor Hoffman, Lee Smith, and Kenley Jansen. And I felt like he was traded away from the Dodgers, left the Dodgers, because he just wasn't good at getting saves. And it turns out he led the league in saves a couple of years. He had 41 saves in 2022, 41 in 2017, 44 in 2014, 47 in 2016. So he had seasons there where he got a ton of saves. And I was just thinking to myself, I didn't realize that Kenley Jansen had played that long in the NFL or in Major League Baseball. It was wild to me that Kenley Jansen had spent that long in Major League Baseball. He's only a 4-time All-Star, which is the crazier thing about it. There's a good chance that by next season, Kenley Jansen will be number 3 all-time. Number 3 all-time in career saves. And you look at where Mike Trout is all-time. I want to see who the comparable players to Mike Trout is. I know Baseball Reference has some of these guys in there, right? Or at least it used to. I'm doing a lot of scrolling here. There we go. Comparable players. Albert Bell, Ralph Kiner, Ryan Braun, Tim Salmon, Larry Doby, Hank Greenberg. Hank Greenberg, probably the biggest name on there, Lance Berkman. 3 guys, 4 guys maybe that are Hall of Fame caliber guys that you would say are similar to Mike Trout. I'm going to scroll all the way down to find out about Kenley Jansen as well. Like the players that are comparable to him. I feel like he's got an easier shot of getting into the Hall of Fame. Actually, they don't have him as a Hall of Famer right now, which is kind of wild. Craig Kimbrell, Billy Wagner, Francisco Rodriguez, Jonathan Papelbon, Joe Nathan, Aroldis Chapman, Rob Nen, Houston Street. Like the majority of those guys, like we just saw Billy Wagner get into the Hall of Fame. So the majority of those guys, you could say, okay, like that would be a borderline Hall of Fame guy. Like Mike Trout's going to make it to the Hall of Fame. But whenever you compare that it's Dick Allen, who had to wait as long as he had to wait to get into the Hall of Fame. I'm trying to see when Dick Allen played. It had to be the 60s and 70s. Yeah. 1963 to 1977. For Dick Allen to make it to the Hall of Fame this season. This season, Dick Allen made it to the Hall of Fame. Almost 50 years after he retired, he made it to the Hall of Fame. We're going to say Mike Trout is a first ballot Hall of Famer because that's what it's been. But its comparable players are Albert Bell, Ralph Kiner, Mookie Betts, Ryan Braun, Tim Salmon, Lance Berkman. Those aren't Hall of Fame guys. Like, that obviously all this according to Baseball Reference is what it is. But it's just one of those things where you kind of look at Mike Trout's career and you kind of say to yourself, wow, that's kind of disappointing. I want to see where he ranks on the all-time RBI list because he just got 1,000. That's the reason why we're talking about Mike Trout right now is because he just got 1,000. And I am scrolling down this list. And I'm still scrolling down this list to find where Mike Trout is going to wind up being on this list. And he is farther down than I thought he was going to be. He is sandwiched between George Bell and tied with Darryl Strawberry and Guy Walker. Who the hell is Guy Walker? Or is it G Walker? G-E-E Walker. G Walker. Who played from 1931 to 1945. A one-time All-Star in G Walker. He is currently tied, Mike Trout is, at 306th all-time in RBIs. 306 all-time in RBIs. Want to go to the career home run leaders? I feel like this is sacrilege talking negatively about Mike Trout. He's number 62 all time in career home runs. Man, that's a lot of solo home runs. If you've got almost 400 home runs and only 1,000 RBIs, he's tied with Joe Carter. Joe Carter wound up having 1,400 RBIs, so 400 more RBIs for Joe Carter, who has played just about the same amount of time, 1983 to 1998, 15 seasons, just like Mike Trout, and had 400 more RBIs, 445 more RBIs than Mike Trout. Let's see where Jim Edmonds, who's just below Mike Trout, had 200 more RBIs than Mike Trout by the end of his career. 1993 to 2008, 15 seasons. Again, same amount of time as Mike Trout. It feels sacrilegious to say this about someone like Mike Trout because he's been so good for so long. So good for so long. But that man does not deserve to be like we had this conversation the other day on the National Professional Sports Show, like Hall of Famers and stuff like that. And I know that Mike Trout's going to ultimately wind up being a Hall of Famer because he got his 1,000 RBIs. He's got close to 400 home runs. He was the face of the league for so long and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, when you look at the numbers, he's not that fantastic, right? Like, he hasn't done amazing things. But he's going to wind up being a first ballot Hall of Famer. And the question to me is why? He's behind Bryce Harper in RBIs. I think he's ahead of Bryce Harper in home runs. Let me see. Where is Bryce Harper home runs? I think he's just at 350. Yeah, 351 is Bryce Harper. So he's ahead of Bryce Harper in home runs, but he's behind Bryce Harper in RBIs, and Bryce Harper's played less seasons. Okay, I was about to say Bryce Harper can't be the guy leading with the most RBIs right now. He's behind Manny Machado, behind Giancarlo Stanton, behind Carlos Santana, Andrew McCutchen, Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt. I wonder who the current active leader in RBIs is. Oh, Freddie Freeman. That's a great name. 1,200 RBIs. And it might be Freddie Freeman as the current leader for active players. Freddie Freeman. Maybe it's a different era in baseball. Freddie Freeman, though, his 16th season, 1,283 RBIs. The current leader or the active leader in career RBIs in Major League Baseball right now. Played one more season than Mike Trout. Has 283 more RBIs than Mike Trout. I'm just saying, I'm putting the question out there. Maybe Mike Trout's career hasn't been as amazing as we all say it is. As a lot of people out there are saying it is. And I know it's sacrilegious to a bunch of people because he was so good for so long. He's a 3-time MVP. Which is kind of wild to me. 9-time Silver Slugger. Trying to see if he's won any Gold Gloves. Not seeing any of that stuff. Hit the second most home runs of any active player, so he's got to be like behind Giancarlo Stanton. Let's see who's ahead of him. Yeah, it's Giancarlo Stanton at 436. We'll see. Spent more time on that conversation than I probably should because I know nobody likes listening to baseball, but I love some baseball. I love me some baseball. And it's just the tip of the conversation.
I just want to put the tip in.
It's time for
Just a Tip.
That would make me uncomfortable.
Promise that it ain't too much, but just enough. Just a tip. Just a tip.
Just the tip. Just the tip.
It's time for Just the Tip.
Just the Tip is brought to you by our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com. Go check out myhappynuts.com. Use promo code Mike Tipton at checkout. Save on all your male grooming needs. We're in the middle of summer. It's hotter than Hades outside. It's been swampy and stuff in El Paso because we've had a bunch of rain and a bunch of humidity. But you know what? I've been feeling fresh because I use the whole body deodorant from my pits to my tips. I keep thinking about how you guys out there who don't use My Happy Nuts must be feeling right now. You must just feel absolutely grotesque. And the way you can feel better about it is by having www.myhappynuts. Go to that website, use promo code Mike Tipton at checkout, and save on all your male grooming needs. Ray over at Ray Work Productions, over at Locally Sourced EP, saying, bro, Trout has been hurt almost his whole career. That's the thing that I'm saying. That's where my question is at right now. Mike Trout's career feels overrated and feels incomplete. And I'm not saying because he's never won a championship. I'm not one of those guys. I don't care about the rings you have, especially in baseball. I think baseball is a sport that cares less about rings than any other sport does. But it just feels like with all the hype that surrounds him, the career hasn't panned out the way that it should, the way that we talk about him all the time. Augustine saying baseball is a nice sport and all. I just hate those little stupid rules more than anything, the unwritten rules, which are even more stupid. The sport needs to change and get with the times. Augustine, hating on baseball. I'm sorry I missed your call yesterday, Augustine. Augustine called me in the middle of a family dinner that I was having. I'm not going to answer the phone in the middle of family dinners. He sent me a message on WhatsApp and said, you have to watch Happy Gilmore 2. And I did. I watched Happy Gilmore 2 on Friday. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I love that movie. I can't do spoilers because I don't know if anyone else has watched it. I'm going to give it about a couple of weeks before we start talking more and more about Happy Gilmore 2. I'm probably going to watch it again today to see if I pick up anything that I missed. But I thought it was a hilarious movie. Don't go in there, and again, it's an Adam Sandler movie. Don't go in there thinking that Happy Gilmore 2 is going to win like Oscars or Emmys or anything like that. It's an Adam Sandler movie. It's supposed to be a silly ass movie. Let it be a silly ass movie. Go in, get some laughs. I think you won't be disappointed. There's a few jokes in there for the adults, as most Adam Sandler movies have. And I will say that. The one thing that I will say, because I think I can give you the number. I think I can give you the number here. 74 cameo appearances. 74 cameo appearances in this movie. Augustine mentioned it right here. The golfers were watching it. Or the golfers in there was absolutely amazing. I thought about that as well. Think of the first Happy Gilmore. Like the only professional golfer that was in there was Lee Trevino, El Paso's own Lee Trevino. And now with this version of Happy Gilmore, 30 years later, you had basically the entire PGA as a part of it. That was pretty cool. That was really cool. Tommy Canazza said that he fell asleep watching it. He'll try again tonight. Oh no. Maybe Tommy, you know what, Tommy? You probably had a late day. You were working hard. You're a hard-working man. You were more than likely exhausted. You had listened to this show, so it burned your brain out. The brain rot that is known as Mike Tipton. Ray over at Locally Sourced saying, bro, I liked it. I'm glad you liked it. I liked it too. It's one of the few. I will say this, like I still think the original is better, but it's up there with the original. Shout out to Cynthia Williams, 0.98 or .98622. Hello to you. Hope that you were having a fantastic time as you said hello over on Instagram. I'm saying hello back over to you. We're talking about Happy Gilmore 2 here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? If you saw it, what were your thoughts? I'm surprised. Actually, I'm not surprised, Tommy, because I felt like I was going to do the same thing. I watched it late on Friday and thought that I was going to fall asleep. So I smoked a little bit of crack with Brandon the Iceman Cone, and I stayed up to watch the movie. I'm surprised I was able to get through that without laughing. Augustine Pimentel saying, oh, yeah, the awesome part is that it was a direct continuation of the first. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I like that. I like that it kind of continued the story of the first movie. I still think the first movie is better. But as far as sequels go, this isn't as bad as a lot of other sequels are. So I guess that's where my expectations was. Is I thought the sequel was going to be bad, so it exceeded my expectations. I had a subject I wanted to. This is how I know I'm getting old. I had a subject in my head that I was going to bring up that I just didn't get to like really think of right now. Oh, well, if it was important, it'll come back to me. Must not have been important. I saw an article on ESPN. It's in Oxnard, California. And if it's in Oxnard, California, you know it's about the Dallas Cowboys during their training camp. Dallas Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones spoke to the crowd before Saturday's practice, and a number of fans yelled some fashion of "Pay Micah." The fans are wanting Jerry Jones to pay Micah Parsons. We spoke about this a little bit earlier. Micah Parsons is going to get his money. We know Micah Parsons is going to get his money. The fans chanting to yell or yelling at Jerry Jones to pay Micah Parsons, that's not going to help anything out. We all know Jerry Jones is going to pay that man because that's what he does. I just think it's absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious that the fans are chanting it in front of him. And I want the fans to continue that same energy. Anytime you see Jerry Jones, just chant, pay Micah. But I opened up ESPN, I click on the NFL tab, and I want to read some of the headlines, right? This is what I was doing today before the show started. And it was so-and-so is injured. So-and-so is out for the season. Dallas Cowboys guard Jones has broken neck bone. It's not going to require surgery. I read about it. Not going to require surgery. He'll be out for about 3 or 4 months. He sustained the injury in practice, was able to stay after practice, and help out Tyler Booker for the Dallas Cowboys on technique. Tyler Booker taking the majority of snaps as the starting left guard of the Dallas Cowboys. So I was reading these articles, and I'm just sitting here getting overwhelmed because I don't want this show to be nothing but an injury report, and it feels like that's all there is injury report. Pay Micah Parsons. This player got taken off the field with a cart and had to be taken out of the stadium with an ambulance. Aaron Rodgers goes back at Terry Bradshaw saying he doesn't know me. Kenny Pickett goes down with a hamstring injury. Now there's only 4 quarterbacks vying for the starting position in Cleveland. Is it Shadur Sanders? Is it Joe Flacco? Is it Deshaun Watson? Is it Dylan Gabriel? Which one of those 4 or 5 if Kenny Pickens comes back? And I was sitting here thinking to myself, I cannot wait. Like, I just cannot wait for there to be more to talk about in the NFL than just injury after injury after injury. And I'm looking through these articles, and I see who are the best draft prospects for 2026. We haven't even played a scrimmage game yet. in most of these colleges. And we're already asking, who is the best prospect of the 2026 NFL draft? Robert Jones is a depth piece, and we still have Brock Hoffman and TJ Bass ready to go, so I am not too worried. I agree with you on that. I just like depth is good. And whenever he comes back, it'll be more depth. There will be injuries to the Cowboys by the time he comes back, so it would be good to have that depth whenever he comes back. Did I say Brick Hoffman or Brock Hoffman? I could have swore I said Brock, but now I'm in my own head. It is our guy, our favorite Cowboy on this show, Brock Hoffman. Augustine saying, you know, Mike, besides Tommy, I don't think anyone really cares about football right now. It's my camp. It's training camp. It's just not interesting. Tommy coming back at Augustine saying the whole country cares, unlike soccer. Augustine. Shout out to Lovely J1111 who tuned in saying good morning. Good morning to you. Hope that you were having a fantastic day, Lovely J. I know you said brick. I was just wondering, like, if I did the Ron Burgundy thing of reading what's in front of me, or if I was smart enough to go back and say Brock Hoffman. I probably said brick because I am Ron Burgundy. I read everything in front of me. Augustine, and I know this is not the truth. Augustine saying, I'd rather talk about what's going on in baseball. It's all about what's going on now, not what's going on in the future, what's going on now. Okay, Augustine. I agree with you. But training camp is going on right now. The NFL is the biggest monster in sports. So you kind of got to talk a little bit about the NFL, like even if it's a tiny little bit. What were your thoughts, Augustine, on the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame induction ceremony yesterday? They had a rain delay, which I thought was hilarious. They had a rain delay, so it delayed them about 3.5 hours from getting started. Lovely Jay laughing at the Ron Burgundy reference. Yes, that's the thing, Lovely Jay. I have a tendency, and this is why I need a producer to help me out with like reading the comments, is I will read every single word on the comment. Augustine's really good at getting me to read stuff I shouldn't read. But I will read everything just like Ron Burgundy. You put in here, go F yourself, San Diego. I will probably read that. I also have no ties to San Diego. So there's that. I'm going to go look up some more stuff. Like, I'm looking up baseball stuff, and like, yeah, there were games, but we don't want to break down the games of baseball. Ichiro, Sabathia, and Wagner are awesome inductees. What do you think about Dave Parker having to wait as long as Dave Parker had to wait? Very sad story. If you're thinking about like the Dave Parker thing. Dave Parker was a slugger on the We Are Family Pittsburgh Pirates. Huge name for them back in the 70s. Got it inducted into the Hall of Fame yesterday. It was announced back in the few weeks ago or months ago that he was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and then died about a month ago from Parkinson's disease. Lovely Jay laughing at me because I am Ron Burgundy. I am El Paso's Ron Burgundy. Tommy Canazza saying football gets all the engagement on this show, followed by the NBA, then MLB, college athletics, tennis, rugby, cricket, gymnastics, politics, physics, and then something other than soccer. The Dave Parker speech given by his son was a tearjerker. Dave Parker writing a poem. That's, again, like another issue that I have with the Baseball Writers Association. If they're good enough to be a Hall of Famer, 50 years after they played baseball, then that means they were a Hall of Famer the day they retired from baseball. So why make them wait 50 years in the case like you did with Dick Allen and the case that you did with Dave Parker in order to get them into the Hall of Fame? These two guys are in the Hall of Fame. They're dead. They didn't even get to give their own speech to get into the Hall of Fame. But the Baseball Writers Association will hold off against certain players because they just weren't popular or they weren't nice or they weren't this or they weren't that. The individual stats make them great. And it's Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame, right? Like, you cannot tell the story of Major League Baseball. It's like the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's the Pro Football Hall of Fame for a reason. Lovely Jay saying that's really sad when you put it that way. It is. It is. It's a time that these players should be celebrated. You had a phenomenal career. Why should they wait 50 years to be inducted into the Hall of Fame? Like thinking about the Drew Pearson Hall of Fame induction with the Dallas Cowboys. It took him almost 40 years to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. I want to say it was probably longer than 40 years because it feels like it was just recently that Drew Pearson got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Luckily, he was alive to do his own induction ceremony speech. Your numbers don't change. If anything, 350 home runs like Dave Parker had back in 1977, whenever his career came to an end, was a great number. It was only deflated because of the steroid era that you're holding against other people. So you would have figured he would have been inducted into the Hall of Fame just as a big middle finger to Barry Bonds and Gary Sheffield and all these other players like that. Instead, the Baseball Writers Association, they have their weird way of doing things. Their weird way of doing things. Lovely Jay saying, yeah, that's right. It feels fresh. It really does. It really does. And I feel like the 5-year waiting period that they have to have whenever you retire, you got to wait 5 years before you could be inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's so stupid. Like Augustine talking about dumb rules in sports. That to me is one of the dumbest rules in sports, is that you have to wait 5 years to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. You should be able to retire and know that upon retiring, you're a Hall of Famer. I'm trying to think of like who retired this year. Like, you got people from the NFL, right? You know Zach Martin is a certified Hall of Famer. You know that Phillip Rivers should be a first certified Hall of Famer. What's so bad about giving these guys, whenever they finally retire, giving them the love they deserve and not having them wait? Just be like, you know what? Welcome to the Hall of Fame. You were good enough to be in the Hall of Fame. Because there's going to be other players that retire that aren't good enough to be in the Hall of Fame. You were a really good player. This guy right here was great. What's the point of waiting 5 years? Can anybody out there, like, I'm not going to Google it, but can anybody out there explain it to me why they have to wait 5 years? Kobe didn't have to wait 5 years because of tragedy. Does tragedy have to strike in order for a player to get in? Does tragedy have to strike in order for us to be like, you know what, that player was really good. Maybe they shouldn't have to wait the 5 years to get in. Your stats do not change. The game around you can change in 5 years. Look at how different the NBA went from the 2014 San Antonio Spurs to the 2016 Golden State Warriors. Look at how different basketball was in just that little time frame. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson shooting three after three after three, changing the game of basketball in 2 seasons. The game can change around them. Their stats don't change. And I think that to me, I think it's so that they make sure they don't unretire. Even if Tom Brady retired and came back like he did a couple of years ago, he could still, like, he's still a Hall of Fame quarterback. Like, nothing changed. You telling me they can't add some numbers to a stat, like to a plaque? Take the plaque off, put another one there. Is a Pro Football Hall of Fame that broke? Are all these Hall of Fames that broke that they can't change a plaque? Come on, man. Like, even if it is that they don't come back and they don't unretire, how many instances have we had someone come back and unretire? I guess you could say Venus Williams, which was sad the other day listening to Venus Williams talk about the reason why she came back to play professional tennis was because she needed insurance, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Even if Tom Brady came back and threw 500 interceptions, he's still Tom effing Brady, and he's the greatest of all time. You add 500 interceptions to his total, I think everybody would be okay with Tom Brady still being a Hall of Famer. He won 7 championships. He's still a Hall of Fame quarterback. Lovely Jay saying he pretended to retire. He did. He 100% pretended to retire. He retired to get away from the New England Patriots and to get away from an investigation where owners in the or owners in the NFL were going up against the Miami Dolphins. That was a whole thing. I don't know if people even know this, that the Miami Dolphins were colluding to have an investigation into the Miami Dolphins because they were conspiring some sort of agreement to give ownership stake to Tom Brady if he came and played football for the Miami Dolphins. Lovely Jay saying that's insane that Venus came back for insurance. It's utterly wild that at 45 years old, a certified Hall of Famer like Venus Williams has to come back and play tennis because of how bad it can be in retirement for athletes, right? Like even going down to like Phillip Rivers and Jimmy Graham, why didn't they retire a couple of years ago whenever they stopped playing? It's because of the insurance. It's because of things like that. They get to have that a little bit longer. Phillip Rivers, I get it. You got 10 kids. You need to have as much insurance as you possibly can for those 10 kids. Tommy Kanata saying, okay, maybe not Tom, but what about someone like Phillip Rivers, who is a fringe Hall of Famer? I don't feel like you can say Phillip Rivers is a fringe Hall of Famer. Again, number 6 all time in yards and touchdowns. That doesn't feel fringe to me. That feels first ballot. Like he should be a number 1 guy. Tommy Kanata saying, has she never heard of the ACA? I gotta search up what the ACA is. Oh. Oh, man. I was saying he's not in yet. He should be. He should be. I know, Tommy. As soon as I typed it in, I thought to myself, I was like, is it the Affordable Care Act? And then I was like, it is the Affordable Care Act. I think she makes or made a certain amount of money that like disqualified her from it. And the way that retirement works for tennis athletes isn't the way that retirement works for the rest of us. Lovely Jay saying, yes, the Affordable Care Act. I'm an idiot. I said it all the time, guys. I am not the smartest man in the world. Forrest Gumping it up. I am not a smart man. But I do know what sports is. It should be what sports are. But I said is to be funny there. Because, again, I'm not smart. See what I did there? That right there, galaxy brain joke. I thought like ACA was going to be something else, like some sort of association, right? We're talking about like sports and leagues and stuff like that. She should have enough to pay for healthcare. The thing is she was diagnosed with a certain disease, and I believe because it's a pre-existing condition, Like she won't get covered by a lot of specific type things. I'm not going to search up right now what the disease is that Venus Williams has, but I know that she has some sort of condition that might not be covered by all that. And then that's also the thing Lovely J saying over here as well. If you make too much money, the insurance rates are astronomical under the ACA. And that could be it, right? Like it could just be she might be caught in that weird purgatory of I made a lot of money, but I also have this pre-existing condition. I've got XYZ going on. Like those types of things. But the fact that she had to come back and play tennis so that she can have insurance is kind of sad. Like super sad. And then we also have to remember tennis as an individual sport, you got to pay coaches, you got to pay this and that. There's not a union, you're not taken care of. So I'll do more research because I don't have a whole bunch of time right now. I think we've got just under 4 minutes, maybe 3 minutes to go. But I'll do more research on it. I'll figure it out. We might talk about it some other time, or I might just have it in my brain to bring out on a rainy day. All right, y'all. What a great conversation this wound up being. We went from baseball to football, back to baseball, back to football to tennis. And nowhere in there did we talk about soccer. We mentioned soccer a couple of times just on the fringes. Soccer. We mentioned you in hushed tones. Soccer. I got a lot of weird stuff in my brain, dude. Like just useless knowledge. Stuff like that. Like the taste of Paris. You know how many people even know what the hell that is? But I got it. She made $46 million through her career. It really feels like she should have made more. I appreciate it, Lovely J, saying, I really like your live. I'll make sure to tune in again every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Mountain Time, 10 a.m. Eastern. We are doing the show, The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Hopefully soon back on Roku, Apple TV, and Google TV. More information on that to come as we get closer to those times. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for being a part of today's show. I appreciate the conversation. Follow the social media at Mr. Tipton33. I've got my 8-year-old staring at me. Not too sure what's going on, but he's got a mischievous smile on his face. I might have to go check out what that is. Anytime a small child is staring at you and smiling, there's probably something wrong. So I've got to go make sure that we get that taken care of. I appreciate you all for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow.